Quest Audiobooks presents an unabridged recording of Lasting Victory, a romantic comedy by Beverley Watts, narrated by Mark Elstob, Colleen Prendergast, and Penny Andrews.
Chapter 1. It had to be said that by the time Admiral Charles Shackleford, retired, approached the door to the Ship Inn, his favourite watering hole, he was ready for a decent bit of scran. So far today he'd been subject to the indignities of wholemeal toast with something called light butter, which as far as he could discern made his toast look and taste like soggy cardboard. Even pickles had turned his nose up. Then, to add insult to injury, it was followed by fresh fruit. And not just any fresh fruit, bloody blueberries. When he'd asked Mabel what the bollocking hell a blueberry was, she'd just sniffed and said his arteries were not about to turn into a fur coat on her watch. It had been over a year since his heart attack. His arteries were probably the healthiest they'd ever been. In fact, he was certain they were crying out for something stodgy. The last time Mabel had made a mistaken kidney pie was his birthday. But this lunchtime he was determined to give his internal organs a day off. It was Fish Friday at the Ship, and he intended to have the extra-large cod, complete with chips and mushy peas. It might take an extra couple of pints to bribe Jimmy to keep stum, but if that was the price he had to pay, so be it. He sighed, bemoaning the days when the threat of dishwasher duty at the Admiralty would have been enough to keep his former master-at-arms in line. But those days were well and truly gone, especially since he and Jimmy had taken up a bit of sleuthing to pass the time. Glancing round, he wondered where Pickles had got to. It was unlike the Springer to miss out on fish and chips, but no doubt the elderly spaniel would turn up in time for some leftovers. The Admiral paused at the threshold, letting his eyes get used to the dimness. After a few seconds, he spied Jimmy already ensconced at the bar, 2 freshly poured pints in front of him. Nodding in approval, Charles Shackleford stepped forward and let the door go, just as a sudden gust of wind caused it to slam behind him. Pickles, who'd actually been investigating something interesting in a gutter, only narrowly avoided an impromptu decapitation. Reassured that some things hadn't changed, the Admiral gave a quick salute to the other regulars before making his way to his customary seat at the bar. "Sir?" offered Jimmy mildly once the Admiral had settled himself to his satisfaction. Charles Shackleford grunted in response and took a long draught of his pint of real ale before placing it back on the bar with a sigh. "What are you having, sir?" Jimmy asked, pointing at the specials blackboard on the wall. "They got—"
Sample complete. Ready to continue?